Pay close attention, because what I'm about to share has little to do with charm or being well-liked. Forget the illusions that people sell you about endless empathy or the soft power of niceties. What I'm describing is far sharper, more demanding, and infinitely more effective. This is the art of authority, the kind of authority that bends a room to your will the moment you speak. It is not given, requested, or borrowed. It is radiated, earned, and recognized immediately. When someone possesses true power, it is palpable. It makes people instinctively straighten their posture, slow their breathing, and question whether they have underestimated someone who could outmaneuver them without effort. Leadership does not involve asking for influence. It is the aura that announces itself without invitation. Every word uttered by a true leader carries weight. Short, deliberate, and piercing, words become instruments of command, not tools for idle conversation. Each sentence lands with the precision of a verdict. Each pause becomes a subtle blade against the uncertainty lingering in others. To rise above mediocrity with unshakable authority, you must speak in a way that eliminates doubt before it forms. You do not explain. You do not apologize. You declare. And if someone challenges you, your silence becomes sharper than any defense you could offer, suffocating their hesitation with your presence alone. This is the first principle of Machiavellian articulation. Remove weakness from your speech, and speak as if what you say is inevitable. Own it, declare it, let it be unassailable. Yet power is not only articulated in speech, it lives in the gaps between words. The true measure of influence often resides in silence. Those who lack confidence fear it because silence reveals their vulnerability, compelling them to fill the void with meaningless chatter. Noise is their armor, yet it is also their weakness. In contrast, a commanding presence understands the strategic value of restraint. The pause is not emptiness. It is a weapon. It generates tension, draws attention, and compels others to reveal themselves through over-explaining, fretting, or unconsciously exposing their weaknesses. When you master the art of measured silence, you control time itself. The rhythm of conversation bends around you. Each moment spent waiting for your words reinforces your dominance. Fear and desire, the twin engines of human motivation, as Machiavelli observed, are intensified by silence. In a pause, people fear your next move and simultaneously crave your guidance, your judgment, your approval. The quiet before your speech is a battlefield where others fight their insecurities while you remain unshaken. Do not fear these pauses. Let them become your most potent instrument of control. Every moment of discomfort they experience strengthens your authority, not diminishes it. You are not reacting to them. You are orchestrating the scene, shaping reality to your advantage without lifting a hand. In mastering this silence, you create presence effortlessly. You make spaces bend to you, conversations transform into arenas where the timing of every exchange is dictated by your will. Silence in this light is not a void. It is the throne upon which power sits, and when you occupy it, submission follows naturally. Precision in speech is equally crucial. Words are weapons, but most people handle them clumsily, striking in chaos, hoping to score a hit. A true leader wields words like a finely sharpened blade, direct, cold, and uncompromising. Ambiguity dilutes authority. Rambling signals insecurity. Over-explaining undermines dominance. In contrast, a well-chosen sentence can dismantle resistance faster than 1,000 paragraphs of polite justification. To speak like a leader, you must exercise restraint. Each word should advance your purpose. Everything else is a liability. The less you reveal, the more others project their insecurities, fears, and assumptions onto your silence. In this way, strategic speech is not merely about information. It is about control, shaping both what is heard and what is imagined. Precision demands directness. Strike at the core of the matter, target weaknesses, and leave no room for misinterpretation. Every unnecessary word you discard strengthens your presence. Every perfectly honed statement amplifies your authority. Your speech must gleam with clarity and decisiveness. When others speak without thought, their imprecision only heightens the impact of your exactness. The ultimate goal is not to win debates, but to eliminate their possibility entirely. Through careful, deliberate articulation, communication becomes domination, leaving listeners with no choice but to align with your authority. Speak infrequently, but strike decisively. Speak concisely, but ensure each word reverberates with weight and purpose. Presence, however, underpins everything. Authority without presence is hollow. True leaders do not enter a room and hope to be noticed. They command attention the moment they cross the threshold. Presence is intentional. It is the invisible infrastructure of influence, designed to make others orbit around you without coercion. Posture, energy, and aura are not accidents. They are engineered. Shoulders back, chest open, chin steady. Your body communicates that you are anchored, unmovable, and unassailable. People follow the one who appears strongest, even if their strength is imagined rather than absolute. Your gaze, too, must be deliberate. Weak individuals avoid direct eye contact, darting nervously. Leaders hold it with steady control. A measured, unwavering look communicates assessment, judgment, and inevitability. Movement, gestures, and energy expenditure should be similarly purposeful. Frantic, uncalculated actions reveal insecurity. Slow, deliberate motions enhance authority. Consider your physical presence as punctuation for your words. Stillness completes sentences, motion emphasizes points, and every action should feel earned, weighted, and intentional. Presence is energy management. The average individual leaks vitality through over-talking, fidgeting, or revealing too soon. A leader conserves, calibrates, and allows the tension to draw others toward him, creating a gravitational pull that reinforces his dominance. Consistency is essential. Presence is not a switch to be toggled, but an identity to embody at all times. Leadership is not a performance. It is the internalization of authority projected outward. When presence and speech converge, words become instruments of power, resonating not just in ears, but in the mind, gut, and soul. Leaders who understand this can command obedience with a whisper, while others shout endlessly without effect. Walk, speak, and inhabit your aura as if you are already sovereign. Law incarnate, radiating authority even before a word escapes your lips. Equally important is the mastery of calm, the unshakable control over one's emotional state. Power does not require volume. The loudest man is often the weakest, exposing his vulnerabilities through uncontrolled anger, panic, or complaint. In contrast, the truly dominant figure wears a mask of ruthless calm. Emotions are managed, not displayed. Stability inspires trust. Composure evokes fear. When chaos erupts, people instinctively gravitate toward the steady hand, the individual whose pulse remains measured while everyone else falters. Calm is not a sign of weakness. It is strategic, a tool for calculating, observing, and controlling. Reacting to provocation is the path of the impulsive. Measured response is the signature of mastery. Leaders conceal inner turmoil, projecting authority while letting the unrestrained destroy themselves through their own impulses. Consider history's great strategists. They reveal little, wait for opportunities, and strike when conditions guarantee success. This disciplined calm enhances the weight of every word you speak, making it feel inevitable, prophetic, and inescapable. Calm is not softness. It is the concealed edge, the velvet sheath around a razor, the unyielding stare that warns enemies without uttering a syllable. Master this art, and you project invincibility, commanding respect and quelling challenges before they arise. As Machiavelli advised, leaders must embody both the lion and the fox, strength combined with cunning, ferocity hidden beneath a mask of control. Use calm to disarm, mislead, and dominate, reserving action for when it can achieve maximum effect. Every movement, tone, and expression must be disciplined until it communicates mastery. Those who cannot govern themselves cannot govern others. Control your calm, and you control both the battlefield and the room. Finally, influence is a careful balance of fear, respect, and admiration. A leader must choose the currency of command wisely. Weak men chase affection, seeking to be liked. Powerful men cultivate respect and enforce fear when necessary. The combination of calculated silence, precise articulation, commanding presence, and unwavering composure produces an aura that is magnetic and intimidating simultaneously. Individuals instinctively defer to authority that is structured, consistent, and inevitable. Leadership, in its purest form, is the capacity to shape perception, dictate narrative, and compel alignment without reliance on coercion. Every aspect of your demeanor, from the cadence of your words to the measured control of your body, communicates dominance. The silent observer senses your authority long before you speak, while those who mismanage their energy or display volatility reveal themselves as inferior. Control over perception, speech, emotion, and presence is mastery. Each principle, calculated silence, razor-sharp speech, strategic presence, ruthless calm, and the judicious balance of fear and respect, combines into a coherent system for commanding influence in any setting. Those who understand and embody these elements become leaders in the truest sense, individuals whose authority is recognized instantly, whose presence is felt physically, mentally, and emotionally, and whose words carry consequences beyond mere comprehension. Pay attention closely because what you are about to absorb goes far beyond charm or social likability. This is not about smiles or pleasantries. This is not about winning admiration or being adored. Those are transient, delicate things, easily swayed and ultimately unreliable. Love, fondness, or popularity may warm the heart temporarily, but they are fragile commodities. They bend under stress and vanish when demands of loyalty or integrity grow too heavy. True authority, however, is forged differently. It is sculpted through consistency, deliberate action, and an unwavering demonstration of competence. Respect is not given freely. It is earned, hammered into the perception of others through repeated displays of strength, discipline, and dominance. And fear is sharper still. Where respect falters, fear guarantees compliance. Fear ensures that boundaries are not merely acknowledged, but internalized. A leader who understands the interplay of admiration, respect, and fear can maintain loyalty even among those whose nature is prone to deceit, self-interest, or fickleness. The most effective leaders are those who strike a careful balance between these forces. Love alone is unreliable. It cannot serve as a foundation for lasting obedience. Respect alone, while sturdy, can crumble when tested unless reinforced by an awareness of consequences. Fear, when wielded without respect, becomes tyranny, oppressive, brittle, and doomed to collapse. But when fear is paired with respect, it becomes a force so potent that individuals obey not merely from apprehension, but from acknowledgement of the leader's competence and inevitability. The one who commands both admiration and fear becomes untouchable. People follow him not because they must, but because they recognize the futility of defiance. This duality is what separates those who wield temporary influence from those whose authority is enduring, absolute, and unquestionable. To cultivate this balance, a leader must integrate its principles into every element of existence: speech, posture, gaze, movement, and presence. Authority is holistic. It saturates your very being. Consistency is the cornerstone of this power. You cannot oscillate between demanding respect and begging for approval. Your authority must be unbroken, a constant stream of certainty. Every word you utter, every decision you execute, every gesture you make must reinforce an unassailable image of strength. Even a single lapse, a weak response, a moment of visible indecision can erode the edifice of dominance you have built. Similarly, fear is not manufactured through theatrics or visible aggression. It is not a product of shouting, threats, or unnecessary displays of anger. True fear is cultivated through measured consequence. The silent, decisive, and immediate application of repercussions creates a psychological imprint in the minds of observers. Individuals internalize the costs of betrayal or disobedience, and even when the action is subtle or calm, the effect resonates powerfully. Fear shapes boundaries. Respect fills the space within them. Together, they construct a fortress of authority that is nearly impenetrable. When you enter a space, your presence alone should compel others to measure their words, calculate their actions, and anticipate your judgment. Yet at the same time, they should seek your guidance, your acknowledgement, and your approval. This duality positions you as both the storm and the sanctuary, simultaneously commanding reverence and inspiring reliance. Within this paradox lies true leadership. Human nature, as Machiavelli observed, is often self-serving, ungrateful, and opportunistic. People are loyal only when it serves them. They deceive when it benefits them. They follow when convenient. This is not a condemnation, but a reality. Leaders do not attempt to change human nature. They master it. Fear ensures compliance even when inherent tendencies threaten loyalty. Respect ensures that compliance evolves into enduring allegiance rather than reluctant submission. A leader communicates both forces simultaneously. Every word carries an undercurrent of admiration and a subtle reminder of the consequences of defiance. The threat need not be verbalized. It is conveyed through posture, tone, measured pauses, and deliberate gaze. People instinctively understand the stakes without overt threats. They weigh their words and actions in your presence, aware that missteps carry tangible repercussions. If they do not, your authority has yet to manifest fully. Embody the weight of fear and respect. Walk with the inevitability of power. Speak in a cadence that conveys certainty, not arrogance. Pause in a manner that conveys patience and omnipotence. Decisions must feel predestined, not contingent, as if the outcome is not a matter of negotiation but a foregone conclusion. This is the path to ascendancy, the methodology of true leadership. Control, in this framework, is the engine of dominance. Leadership is never about brute force alone, nor about charisma, luck, or fleeting charm. The man who masters himself, his environment, and the perceptions of others becomes invulnerable. Power lies not only in tangible action, but in the manipulation of belief, perception, and behavior. Control is both overt and subtle. It is the invisible hand guiding outcomes without those being guided ever realizing it. The first layer of control is self-mastery. Without discipline, without regulation of impulses and emotions, one remains a prisoner disguised as a leader. Anger is reckless. Desire is predictable. Panic is weakness. These internal states, if left unchecked, compromise judgment and broadcast vulnerability to keen observers. Therefore, internal silence is the foundation of authority. When the world around you descends into chaos, the disciplined individual remains steady, projecting competence and calm. This contrast alone elevates him above the mass of undisciplined actors. Control extends to perception. The leader crafts an image that precedes reality. Appear unwavering, even when uncertainty gnaws within. Present certainty, even against overwhelming odds. Project inevitability, even in moments of calculated risk. Human beings follow images, not truth. They obey those who present dominance as an immutable fact. Symbols of power, whether crowns, medals, or visible demonstrations of capability, serve as anchors to perception, shaping reality in the eyes of the observer. Mastering perception allows you to rule without physical conflict. Control is also psychological. The weak beg for consent. The strong engineer it. Language, tone, and phrasing are not merely tools of communication. They are instruments of reality construction. Do not phrase proposals as suggestions. Issue them as declarations. Replace tentative phrasing with certainty. Statements such as, "I think we should," or "perhaps we could," signal indecision. Replace them with "this will be done," or "this is the path forward." Certainty, consistently applied, compels others to conform. Scarcity amplifies control. The more readily available you are, the more trivial your presence becomes. By rationing access, withholding time, energy, and approval, you cultivate desire. People instinctively chase what is rare, bending toward what appears limited or precious. Strategic withholding creates hunger, anticipation, and elevated valuation of your influence. Speech itself must be precise, economical, and deliberate. Words are weapons. In the hands of the untrained, they become blunt instruments, clumsy, ineffective, and noisy. In the hands of a disciplined leader, they are scalpels, exact, cold, and devastating. Precision demands elimination of the superfluous. Rambling dissipates authority. Ambiguity invites challenge. Over-explaining diminishes dominance. One exact sentence, delivered with unshakable certainty, can dismantle resistance far more efficiently than volumes of polite justification. Speak with intent. Speak with strategy. Every utterance must advance your purpose. Reveal nothing that does not serve a calculated objective. The unspoken is often more potent than what is declared. When individuals are left to project into the void of your restraint, they fill it with their fears, insecurities, and assumptions, reinforcing your power without your intervention. Precision shapes perception, imagination, and obedience. Strike at the core of the issue. Target weakness, hesitation, and doubt. Words, when carefully honed, inflict a psychological impact deeper than physical confrontation. This is not cruelty. It is efficiency, control, and strategic dominance. Presence is inseparable from speech and control. Authority is manifest not only in words, but in how one occupies space. To enter a room and hope to command attention is naive. Presence is deliberate. It is a framework of energy, posture, and aura, designed to demand recognition without seeking it. Shoulders back, chest open, head high. These are not mere posture, they are declarations of immovability. A commanding gaze communicates assessment, judgment, and inevitability. Movement must be measured. Gesture should reinforce, not distract. Stillness amplifies command. Every action is deliberate, weighted, and purposeful. Energy, conserved and deployed with precision, attracts attention and establishes dominance. Those around you bend psychologically toward your steadiness, drawn by the gravitational pull of calculated authority. Presence must be consistent. Fluctuating energy, vacillating composure, or intermittent assertiveness destroys credibility. Leadership is identity, not performance. It is an internalized state projected outward. When presence, speech, and control converge, the impact becomes inescapable. Words carry weight, gaze commands obedience, and the entire being becomes an instrument of influence. Ruthless calm is the pinnacle of visible and invisible control. Noise, anger, and emotional volatility reveal vulnerability. They invite exploitation. The truly powerful maintain composure, regardless of provocation, demonstrating a mastery of self and circumstance. Calmness is not passivity. It is calculated restraint, a mask that conceals the potency of latent force. The impression of unshakability both inspires loyalty and instills fear. Those who fail to maintain this discipline hand authority to others through their reactions. Calmness amplifies the potency of eventual speech. Words spoken after deliberate observation carry authority far beyond the content itself. The calm leader is both shield and weapon, maintaining psychological advantage until action is most effective. Machiavelli's counsel is clear. Leaders must embody the lion and the fox, strength to strike, cunning to conceal. The mask of ruthless calm hides power while simultaneously manipulating perception, disarming rivals until decisive action is optimal. Finally, the integration of fear and respect completes the architecture of influence. While love or affection is fragile and conditional, respect is durable, and fear is compelling. A leader who masterfully blends both ensures obedience and admiration simultaneously. Fear without respect is coercion. Respect without fear is fragile. Together, they generate a psychological fortress in which authority becomes absolute. Every entrance into a room, every pause, every glance, every decision reinforces this architecture. Individuals weigh their words, anticipate judgment, and simultaneously seek approval. Authority is felt in every interaction, understood without explanation, and sustained through consistent demonstration. To command fear and respect is to occupy a space of inevitability, where influence is absolute and leadership unchallengeable. Control, as the foundation of this system, extends to every dimension of perception, behavior, and environment. Mastery of self precedes mastery of others. Emotional discipline, precise communication, curated presence, and strategic scarcity of time and attention generate a gravitational field that shapes the thoughts, words, and actions of those around you. Every element of demeanor, posture, speech, and composure functions as an instrument in the orchestration of influence. The successful leader operates not through volume or force alone, but through the careful engineering of belief, anticipation, and submission. Leadership is architecture, psychology, and performance, synthesized into a singular, coherent expression of power. True power begins not with the pursuit of attention, but with the ability to command it effortlessly. While ordinary individuals scramble, seeking approval and recognition, a master allows focus to gravitate naturally toward them. The world orbits around their presence, not because they demand it, but because they exude a magnetic authority that draws others in. This is the first principle of mastery. Understand that power is not taken by noise or desperation. It is cultivated silently, radiating from the core of your being. Influence begins internally, with a disciplined mind, measured movements, a precise tone, and strategic pauses. Every gesture, every word, every moment of silence communicates volumes about who you are and what you command. Presence alone can bend the perception of reality, shaping how others move, speak, and think around you. When you achieve this, you are no longer merely interacting with the world. You are structuring it, programming it according to your will. Closely linked to influence is the art of steering human behavior, often misunderstood as manipulation. But this is not deception for trivial amusement. It is the calculated direction of others' actions to align with your objectives. A master leader identifies desires, fears, and insecurities, then subtly guides choices so that people feel as though they are acting of their own accord. This is not cruelty, it is strategy. To allow others to dictate the narrative around you is to relinquish power. Control is the conscious shaping of circumstances, ensuring that when individuals act, it serves your design. Without such strategic oversight, you leave your environment vulnerable to the ambitions and agendas of others. Control also demands accountability. Words and promises must carry weight, consequences must be real, and actions must be predictable in their consistency. Reward loyalty visibly, punish betrayal decisively, and never offer threats you cannot enforce. A reputation for integrity and consequences is far more formidable than any display of force. Human behavior responds to certainty. People obey not just out of respect, but out of recognition that defiance carries risk. Complete control radiates from within and manifests in every aspect of your presence, from facial expressions and posture to voice, timing, and silence. The ultimate test of power is whether you can craft a reality so persuasive that others operate within your framework unconsciously. When achieved, you are no longer a mere speaker. You are an architect of thought, a strategist of minds. The psychology of control is deliberate, cold, and precise, akin to the mindset of rulers who shape empires without overextending themselves. Influence, however, extends beyond mere control. It is the unseen dominion over minds. Armies conquer land, gold purchases allegiance, but influence captures the human spirit. Once a mind submits to your guidance, actions follow instinctively. Influence is not begging for agreement. It is asserting dominance through suggestion, authority, and the silent pressure that aligns decision-making with your objectives. Words are not casual. They are levers capable of shifting entire realities. Credibility is the foundation of influence. People trust not the loudest voice, but the one that resonates with authenticity. Every statement you make either fortifies or erodes your authority. Speak sparingly, but with undeniable clarity and command. Over time, the weight of your words accumulates, creating a presence that persists long after you have left the room. Influence relies on understanding the human need for certainty, validation, and guidance. People seek direction, who they are, where they belong, and what the future holds. Providing these answers establishes control and loyalty, giving your counsel extraordinary power. Identify needs, security, recognition, purpose, and become the provider. When your presence fulfills essential desires, your influence becomes indispensable, your guidance magnetic. Machiavelli understood this. Humans are self-interested but predictable. Appeal to their fears and desires and you can steer them in any direction. Confront resistance subtly, avoid direct force. Guide as water shapes stone. Gentle pressure over time yields obedience that feels voluntary. When options are framed to make your preferred choice seem inevitable, you achieve victory without conflict. Scarcity enhances influence. Praise and attention become treasures when rare. Speak selectively, offer guidance sparingly, and your words resonate as prophecy. Human nature craves what is difficult to obtain. Limited presence and disciplined communication create longing and reinforce your authority. Influence is also amplified by perception. Align yourself with symbols of success, visible victories, and followers who echo your vision. People are drawn to what appears unstoppable. They submit to destiny as they perceive it. Action is essential. Guidance without results is wasted. Influence must serve a purpose, directing beliefs, emotions, and loyalty toward strategic objectives. Anything less diminishes authority. True influence is never mere manipulation for amusement. It is intentional, disciplined, and results-driven, creating order and advancing goals. Storytelling is a multiplier of influence. Facts inform, but narrative captivates and enlists imagination. Commands wrapped in story resonate far deeper than mere directives. They are internalized as truth. Leaders across history understood this principle. Nations follow myths, armies fight for belief, and individuals act upon conviction. Speak to the primitive mind that fears loss, seeks triumph, and reveres destiny. Influence is most potent when invisible. Allow others to feel they act freely, even while you have guided the outcome. This subtle orchestration is the art of mastery. Influence is not about pushing. It is about controlling the unseen frame, pulling strings that others cannot perceive, using scarcity, timing, presence, and authority to establish supremacy. The ultimate evolution of power is untouchability. Authority that is scattered, unguarded, or overexposed is weak. Respect diminishes when access is unrestricted. A master leader constructs a fortress around time, energy, reputation, and focus. Untouchability is cultivated through boundaries. Weak individuals allow anyone to demand attention. Powerful ones reserve their availability. Scarcity multiplies influence, while controlled inaccessibility elevates significance. Emotional resilience reinforces the fortress. Insults, gossip, and criticism cannot penetrate the armor of strategic composure. Reacting reveals vulnerability. Silence communicates superiority. Let adversaries exhaust themselves against your unshakable core. Reputation is sacred. Guard it rigorously, maintain consistency, and act decisively when tested. One demonstration of strength outweighs 100 disputes. Strategic distance protects authority. Too much familiarity diminishes respect. Mystery strengthens it. When others cannot fully gauge your intentions, they navigate your presence cautiously, preserving your control. Untouchability also requires freedom from need. Dependence erodes power. Autonomy amplifies it. Speak not to be liked, act not to impress, desire not validation. Let necessity be replaced with independence. This liberates influence and removes vulnerabilities, establishing dominance as a matter of principle rather than circumstance. Unpredictability is another pillar. Those who can anticipate your next move can manipulate you. Shift between generosity and ruthlessness, visibility and absence, decisiveness and contemplation. Variability keeps adversaries uncertain and respect high. Controlled vulnerability, displayed selectively, builds loyalty without weakening authority. The leader shows enough humanity to connect, never enough to be dominated. Mastery of these principles transforms ordinary presence into a force of inevitability. Words echo, actions resonate, and influence persists beyond immediate interaction. At the pinnacle lies ascension, the fusion of all principles into identity. Power becomes inseparable from being. It is instinctual, automatic, and eternal. Titles, wealth, and recognition are fleeting. Identity is immutable. The ascended individual commands respect, loyalty, and obedience regardless of circumstance, embodying authority through presence, precision, and control. Life is an ongoing contest of positioning. Rivals, threats, and challenges persist, yet the ascended leader bends conditions to advantage. Balance is essential. Fear without respect incites rebellion. Calm without action invites stagnation. Presence without scarcity invites dilution. Mastery of timing, perception, and influence ensures absolute command. Each law, control, influence, untouchability, is wielded with calculated harmony, yielding adaptability without compromising invincibility. Ascension is enduring because it transcends performance. It is identity, fully internalized, governing every word, gesture, and thought. The ascended leader is no longer a participant in power. They are power itself. Others orbit, compelled by respect, fear, or awe. Weakness is eliminated. Illusion is discarded. Reality is embraced. Obedience is demanded. Inevitability is enforced, and authority is absolute. Presence commands, silence instructs, and action enforces. Ascension is a state of being irreversible and eternal. No external circumstance can diminish it. No rival can destabilize it. It is the ultimate mastery, the transformation from a person who possesses power to one who is power, living as a force that cannot be undermined. True power begins with concealment. Always retain a portion of yourself beyond scrutiny, a fragment that remains enigmatic and inaccessible. This unseen essence becomes your shield, a layer of protection against intrusion and manipulation. Others cannot anticipate your movements, predict your choices, or confine your essence within their understanding. Mystery is not simply a tactic. It is a strategic advantage. When people are unsure of where your influence begins or ends, they approach with caution, respect your presence instinctively, and hesitate to challenge you. This uncertainty alone amplifies your authority. The unknown is leverage. It creates an aura of vigilance and deference in those who encounter it. The more enigmatic you remain, the more potent your presence becomes. Equally vital is dominion over need. Most individuals are enslaved by the cravings for approval, admiration, and validation. They falter when recognition is withheld, grovel when their worth is questioned, and crumble under rejection. The untouchable leader, by contrast, is sovereign over these dependencies. He does not speak to gain affection, but to command compliance. He does not act to earn praise, but to secure respect. He does not bend to appease, but to assert authority. Liberation from these cravings transforms desire into armor. Independence becomes the foundation of invulnerability. When you require nothing from anyone, you become impervious. Need is a chain. Autonomy is the fortress that shields the indomitable spirit. Another essential pillar of this impenetrable state is unpredictability. Predictable individuals are easily trapped, manipulated, and outmaneuvered. The leader who aspires to be untouchable never allows his adversaries to anticipate his next move. He shifts seamlessly between generosity and severity, silence and speech, engagement and withdrawal. This variability destabilizes opposition, fosters uncertainty, and amplifies psychological dominance. Fear thrives in unpredictability, and uncertainty strengthens the fortress of influence. Yet absolute coldness is counterproductive. Complete detachment alienates allies and followers. The art lies in selective vulnerability, occasionally revealing fragments of humanity without exposing the core. A carefully timed gesture of openness or controlled display of emotion reinforces loyalty while never weakening authority. You connect just enough to inspire allegiance, but never enough to be conquered. Strategic exposure expands the fortress rather than diminishes it. Untouchability is mastery, not isolation. You do not retreat from the world. You move within it with freedom while remaining untouchable. You speak with precision, revealing only what you intend, connecting without dependence. You lead without supplication, commanding without entreaty. From within this fortress, every word carries weight and inevitability. Observers perceive that nothing can destabilize you, nothing can undermine your authority, and nothing can diminish your power. That perception alone compels respect and obedience. The fortress of untouchability serves as both armor and weapon. It preserves your influence from decay, conceals your strategies from rivals, and ensures loyalty among those who follow. Every element of this fortress, discipline, boundaries, scarcity, reputation, unpredictability, and mystery must be built deliberately and guarded with vigilance. Speak as if your words are forged from stone. Act as though your presence defines reality itself. Through this disciplined construction, you rise above the fragile, the emotional, and the unsteady. You cease to be an ordinary man and become a force, an indomitable presence, an unassailable power. Beyond untouchability lies ascension, the ultimate embodiment of authority. Everything until this point, the silence, precision, presence, composure, fear, respect, influence, and fortress, prepares you for this transformation. Ascension is the metamorphosis from a person who possesses power to a person who embodies power itself. It is not measured by titles, wealth, or recognition, for these are transitory and can be taken away. What endures is the identity you forge, the integration of these principles into your essence. When discipline, strategy, and awareness fuse into your character, your influence transcends circumstance. Whether in a palace or a prison, you remain sovereign, for eternal power resides in the person, not the position. Command becomes instinctual, presence undeniable, influence perpetual. Life is a battlefield of positioning rather than constant combat. Challenges, rivals, and adversaries will always arise, yet the ascended leader transforms obstacles into advantages. Commands become decrees, silence suffocates doubt, presence dominates space, and the mind remains unshakable. Ascension requires the mastery of equilibrium. Fear without respect invites rebellion. Calm without action fosters stagnation. Presence without scarcity breeds dilution. True mastery harmonizes these forces, moving with the stealth of a predator, the cunning of a strategist, and the invisibility of a shadow. Adaptable yet unwavering, flexible yet absolute. The ascended figure wields each tool of influence with precision according to circumstance. Eternal influence is measured not by immediate results but by enduring effect. When you leave a room, your presence lingers. Words spoken once echo 100 times. Even in absence, people act as if you are observing. This is transcendence from man to myth. Machiavelli recognized that lasting leaders imprint themselves into the collective psychology of their people, shaping behavior, belief, and perception long after they are gone. Ascension is not gentle or poetic. It is exacting and relentless. Weakness must be excised, illusions discarded, reality embraced. Leaders forsake comfort for control, approval for obedience, dreams for inevitability. You rise above mediocrity, cease to beg for consent, and refuse to justify yourself to the unworthy. You embody the cold psychology of mastery. People follow strength, not compassion. They respond to consequence, not kindness. They submit to inevitability, not compromise. You become the gravity around which others orbit, whether in love, fear, or awe. Ascension is eternal because it is identity, not performance. Power cannot be donned like a costume. It must be integrated into your being. Every movement, every word, every decision emerges from instinct. Once ascended, there is no return to mediocrity, to pleading, or to explanation. You live differently, you are perceived differently, you are remembered differently. You are no longer practicing power. You are power, timeless, cold, unshakable, and absolute.